Ons is geskakel hier op GROOTplaas. Ons gas saam met ons in die ateljee vanoggend is Rustin Shawe. Hy's 'n beesboer en 'n veilingskenner om 'n bietjie te gesels oor vee-veilings. Rustin, good morning. Welcome back.
Morning, Dupe. Thank you. Thanks for giving us the chance to be on your program again. Thanks, man.
Listen, so let's start off. When it comes to cattle auctions, what is the most important thing that a person should know going into an auction?
Well, Dupe, basically, if you're a first-time buyer and you reach the auction, you go to the registration table, to the auction house, whoever's running the auction, and for example, where we use SHM, and then you would register to buy. They would then give you a catalog. If you're a first-time buyer, they might require a deposit, depending on your credit worthiness and that type of thing. But yeah, that they would do very confidentially. And then once you've got your catalog, you would then take that same catalog and go to the back where all the animals are penned, go through each animal, and then correlate the catalog information that you've got with the animals that are in the pens. And yeah, then thereafter, at a certain time when the auction starts, usually about 11 or sometimes 12 o'clock, the bell will ring. All the buyers would then go closer to the ring, sit down, and the auctioneer would then announce all the terms and the regulations and all the how the sale will be run. And then of course the bidding would start, and you would bid on the lots that you chose. And if the hammer falls on you, then from there on you would then go to the desk thereafter and arrange transport of your animals, and of course receive certificates and that type of thing of your animals that the auction provides, and then of course settle your account. And usually at most auctioneering or auctions, you only allowed to load once the animal's paid for. So yeah, that's basically it. And then of course buyer security would, before the time on the way in, you would expect to be probably your vehicle sanitized, as well as you would go through a footbath.
So I take it by the time that the auction started, you've checked the catalogue. Not a good time to be picking at your nose or scratching your ear, because you might just buy something that you don't want to.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's probably advisable to well, long before the sale, the animals are screened, and you would reach the sale long before the sale actually starts. So don't give don't give it a short period of time to go and screen the animals, look at the animals, and make your decisions. That you've got time to go through the catalogue and go through it carefully, read all those, read all the fine details there of, let's say, intercalving periods, when the cow's going to calve. Pointless, you're going to go and buy an animal. If, for example, our cattle, we calve and our heifers calve in July, and our cows calve in August and September. So if you're going to go and buy a cow that's going to calve in December, it's going to be out of your time unless you've got a plan with it, then, and to get it back into your calving period. But all those decisions would have to be made very carefully and need a bit of time to be able to make those decisions.
So, Rustin, you've given us a little bit of info on what to expect. When it comes to the preparing the animals, grading the animals, and presenting them at the auction, what is important information that buyers should know going into the auction?
Well, yeah, that's the bit of information that I gave. Like, for example, your breed director in a stud auction would have screened those animals, and those well, obviously, if you see any structural faults, you would make the people aware. But those animals are screened, and to be sold under the auspices, they have to be screened. So, for example, the testing of those animals, you make sure that all those animals have been tested, for example, for CA, bled, and the bulls, for example, for trig or trigs in Afrikaans, and at least 3 times those animals should be tested for trig and fertility, so that you know that the bulls are clear of all those diseases. So yeah, those are important things. Obviously, we as stud breeders and bull breeders, we prepare our animals, we feed our animals before they go to auction, and then get them into good condition, so they can show off their best aspects. And yeah, that's basically, and also your veterinarian, he goes through those cattle very carefully for example, foot and mouth. Each cow gets mouthed and checked before a sale to make sure that no one's buying animals with any diseases.
When it comes to these auctions, is there a specific time frame during the year where all of these auctions take place, or is it mostly available throughout the year?
Usually the stud auctions. There are auctions throughout the year, depending on different auctions. There are obviously, of course, weaner auctions, long yearling auctions, fat stock auctions. But for stud auctions, there is a specific time from April onwards, right until the end of September, even into October. Round about November, December, there are very few auctions or stud auctions as such.
Now, how are these reserve prices set? Is that set by the farmer bringing the cattle to the auction, or is that something that the auctioneer does before the time and puts into the catalogue?
Well, you would discuss that with the auctioneer. It would go about quality of the animal, what it's worth, breeding value. Also, then the market at the time. You would consider the market at the time, what your animals, what they're worth in the market at the time, and then of course, the auctioneer would he would look at the sale, how it's going, what the demand is at that particular auction. Those are the kind of things he would would determine a reserve price. If the animal doesn't reach the reserve price, then the highest bidder usually has a chance right there and then to either match the reserve price, or that animal just simply goes out on ice, and thereafter they can negotiate with an agreement maybe thereafter after the sale.
Rustin, we're going to be back with you in a second. Rustin Shawe is 'n beesboer en veilingskenner wat saam met ons kuier vanoggend. Ons is terug op GROOTplaas net hierna. Ons is geskakel op GROOTplaas. Ons gas saam met ons vanoggend Rustin Shawe, hy's 'n beesboer en 'n veilingskenner. So Rustin, when it comes to costs and commissions, should both sellers and buyers be aware of these numbers before the auction starts?
Yes, what the auctioneer usually does, he would then announce how his increments would work on the auction. So he would basically would tell the audience that the bids would be going up in, let's say, 5,000 rand increments, and then and if the going's good and the bull is in demand, at a certain point, sometimes the auctioneer would say that he's going to choose and how much the increments go up in. So yes, they are informed before the time of how the increments work, and then of course it's your choice to either put your hand up or not, depending on the quality of the animals and your need for what you need on your farm.
So just from a seller point of view, when it comes to documentation, is there anything specifically a seller needs to be taking with document-wise for potential buyers and also for the auction house to have?
Yeah, your VAT number, your company name, and then, of course, beforehand, if you're going to an auction, you either know the auctioneers well, and they've already got all your information. But if you're a first-time buyer, then of course, say tax certificates, all that type of thing that would help you, of course, to be to be able to buy on the sale, to be credit worthy.
And when it comes to these auctions, are there specific factors during the year that might help prices fluctuate?
Yeah. For example, depending on which auctions, there's so many different auctions, as we said earlier. There's, for example, your weaner auctions. We, for example, sell weaners usually in April, but then there's a lot of weaners on the market at the time, so that can sometimes cause the prices to come down. And then we keep a lot of our weaners to long yearlings and sell them in December. And then, of course, there are a lot fewer weaners in December, and so we seem to get better prices then. It's usually in a cycle of at least 1 in 7 that you don't do well in December. Yeah, so there are a lot of factors depending on, of course, disease. Like for now, at the moment, a foot and mouth has caused chaos at the moment in the whole auctioning process. There are very few auctions running at the moment, but that's a story for another day. In a normal situation, it would depend. Obviously, when people's breeding season, if you're selling bulls, for whatever reason, bulls are sold well between April and the end of October because of people's breeding season either being in March, April, or at least June, July to calve March, April, or of course putting your bulls on the 1st of November or even earlier to calve in July, August, and September of the next year.
Now, we've got about 20 seconds left, Rustin. Quickly, some practical tips you can give to anyone going to the auction so they don't make any mistakes.
Go to the auction early, as I said before. Read long before the time, get the catalogue, go through it, study your catalogue, know what you want to do, have a plan for what you want to do before you get to the auction. Don't sit in the ring and bid on what's coming in on the ring. Don't make rash decisions or rash decisions. Be prepared. Know when the cattle are going to calve. If your breeding season is a certain time of the year, you don't want to buy cattle that are out of your breeding season. But if it's excellent genetics and you plan to bring those cattle back into your calving season, then by all means.
Rustin, I'm going to have to cut you off there, unfortunately, my friend. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Rustin Shawe, hy's 'n beesboer en 'n veilingskenner om 'n bietjie te gesels oor veeveilings. Dis al wat vir ons tyd het vir Grootplaas vir vandag. Ons sien jou weer maandag.